Community Beacon, Fridays at 6:30 EST, with your hosts Michaeldseville and Joel Simmons. A channel whose focus is liberty. A place where the lessons discussed and taught will create openings to a more open and freer mindset. A mindset where you may reach the height of your potential and excel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Joel.
What's going on? What's going on, brother?
Go again. Another day, another way, and the place to be. Everyone, appreciate you. Appreciate you for checking in each and every Friday. Community Beacon. Michaeldseville. Let me change this around. The real estate guy here in Palm Beach County, Northern Palm Beach County to be exact. And of course, on the other side, we have my co-host with the most, brother from another mother, the Tenacity Foundation's own, Joel Simmons. What's going on?
Hey. What's going on, man?
We struggle streaming a little bit, but we're gonna make it happen. So, man, we appreciate you all. Let me get this housekeeping in real quick because we don't have much time, and I want to respect you all's time. So, guys, like, share, comment, hit the notification button, depending on whatever format or platform you're using. If it's on YouTube, hit the bell. If it's on Facebook, hit the follow. If you're not following my brother Joe Simmons, go find him on the Facebook screen. If you're not following me and you're on my brother's screen, follow me. Nothing but positive and uplifting information. I don't talk about haters. I don't talk about who's not supporting. I don't really talk about any of that stuff. I just try to share some great information. I know that's what the brother does as well. We come to you and we shoot from the hip, just about positive, how we can progress, what's going on, real estate. My brother's doing all kinds of things with financial strategies. You got to come check us out, man. This is what it's all about. So remember to do that. Remember on Mondays, what it takes. Check me out. Last week was Memorial Day, and I'm hoping you all, celebrated. I think the brother froze for a little bit. I hope you all celebrated Memorial Day. I still gave you a stream on Memorial Day. So shouts out to. We want to respect and then definitely honored everybody on that day. I hope everyone was safe and you all had a good time with family and observed that holiday. Of course, on Wednesdays, it starts with me. My brother's dropping something every day, every Wednesday at 12:30. But the talk about it starts with me.
Yeah, starts with me. It's just been beautiful. I've been enjoying it so much. Shout out to my man Jomer, who's taking care of all of the audio and all of the visuals with that, because man, I went back and I started looking at some of this stuff because sometimes I just produce it and I don't go back and watch it. And I went back and I watched some of that stuff. I was like, wow, he's been putting in work, y'all. Been putting in work. It looks real good, 100%. Looks like a beautiful studio. So please check that out. Much respect given to all of those who have started to follow us and got through with their subscriptions and everything. We're seeing the numbers tick upward. So we definitely appreciate all of you all. Keep on looking towards us. We love the help. We love the camaraderie. We love you all giving us the little comments and everything, leaving that down there for us to be able to respond to. Appreciate everybody.
Awesome. And guys, and of course, we culminate the week with Friday, 6:30, Community Beacon. We do the best that we can, and we definitely appreciate each and every one of you that check in with us. You comment, specifically when you comment, because it's always a great time for us to engage. We definitely want to engage with you. But we say, it's just higher level critical thinking. We try to get to the ins and outs of what exactly is going on, and I don't know about you all, but I always take something with me from these shows, and sometimes it lasts months, 2 months, 3 months, and it could last a lifetime. Some of the information that I get as we share it and we go through it. So we definitely appreciate you all for that. So we get into the show. I wanted to talk about, and it was interesting that you mentioned that with Gomer. We didn't even rehearse this, guy, so it was interesting that he mentioned it with Gomer going in, and he went back and actually looked at his shows. I was doing a master class in sales the last couple of weeks, and one of the things that they spoke about where we see like exponential growth is when you go back and you listen to your calls, when you listen to your tone, when you listen to how it is that you speak, because when you do that, the interesting thing is that you don't necessarily even know how you come across to people. We speak about communication all the time, and we think that when we say the right words, it actually is it makes the difference, and that's not the case. I want to say it's like 55% body language, it's like 30 something percent tone, and then the 7% is what weighs on the in regards to the words. And I didn't really want to get into that aspect of it. I wanted to get into the aspect of the growth and the progress and the continuance of the growth and progress. And by the brother going back and looking at his stream, it starts with me. He gets to see the growth that he has, and I'm sure he saw a lot of positive things. It sounds like the brother Coleman's been putting in a lot of work, but he also goes back to see what it is that he can improve on, because it's about progress and not perfection. When we go back and look at these different things, the brother going back looking at his YouTube recordings, or for start the shows, for it starts with me with my sales calls. It's about how can I improve on something, and we'll never know how we can improve on something unless we take a look at ourselves and what we're doing. What I found is that it's so easy to guide and tell people what it is that they could and can't be doing. The Bible talks about remove the beam out of one own eye before you point out the stick in someone else's eye. So what are we doing to improve ourselves? I just mentioned I did a 2-week class on sales. I've been doing sales for a couple of years now. And they're really deep diving into sales, not just saying, getting a sales job and saying I'm in sales. I mean, actually studying sales and getting mentors and hiring sales trainers in order for me to get better at my craft. Sales and the sales skills being one of which is really about communication, one of the highest forms that you can actually get paid for, because communication runs the world as far as I'm concerned. But also in the example of the brother going back and looking at his show, because he wasn't going back to look at his show and say, look how perfect I am. I wouldn't imagine the brother doing that. The brother went back and looked at his shoulder to see exactly what was going on, and he noticed the progress that he's had and he's seen with it in regards to the production portion of it. But I'm sure he went back and looked at himself and how he communicates with his audience and the questions he asks, and how to get better at being the interviewer, because you are the interviewer on that show, brother. What you say about this progress over perfection and just getting better?
Man, I love it. I know that you've mentioned it multiple times, about what gets tracked gets improved. And that's just a part of the success journey. So many, that have gone before us have mentioned the same thing. Ed Milet, that's a big thing that he says. Jamie Villalobos says that. Richard Thaler says that. So it's a lot of people that say that same type of terminology, and there's a lot of coaches out there that believe in that. And it's true. When you start tracking things, when you start to go back, I mean, I'm just looking at it. There's another stage. After that, another stage to take it to a higher level. Besides just looking at it, you actually start to track what you're looking at, and that takes sessions. It takes multiple reviews, and then you start to point out things that you could change. But I mean, for me, it was just like sheerly going back and saying, hey, you know what? Whenever I sit down to eat, I put on something motivational, because I want to watch something. That's what I want to do. I want to watch some TV. This is my opportunity. So the way I curve that from watching garbage is I turn on, Brian Tracy, or I turn on, Eric Thomas. Right now, I'm doing a whole lot of Brian Tracy. Actually, my friend, Alicia Curry, she's about to get on the stage with Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy's like in his 80s or 90s. So I don't even think he's going to be there live. His son's going to be there, but she's featured, and I just think it's awesome to see her featured there. And brother, this is one of the people that I brought to Communicate Now. It's like they don't understand the scale of individuals that came out to this Riviera Beach program, and how much it really would cost if I was paying full price to get these speakers to get in there. I had you on there. Like people, they don't understand the caliber of individual that showed up to speak with these neighborhood kids that would never have got to meet these people unless they had played, multiple hundreds of dollars, and in some cases maybe even more, to go inside of a convention and to see these people. But to get back to what you were saying, I got a question for you actually, because I think that this is like awesome. The thing that you just broke open right there. You said being in sales for a couple years. I guess it's been a little bit longer than that for you, probably 2 to 3 years. I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The last 3 years almost feels like one big year to me.
yeah, I feel like it's been longer than just two
Yeah.
years.
Hey, it's been longer than 2 years because when I think about it, I think I hired my first sales coach, like officially hired a sales coach maybe in 2018, 2018, 19, somewhere around that stage. So yeah, we're about 4 or 5 years in.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So like we're talking about this craft that's developing and that's building and the work that you put in and how far you are. But it's like, listen, we talked about this last year. It's like it's not about the noun, it's about the how he got where he got. Because you can look at him now, you can say, oh, well, Mike's doing well and all this type of stuff. But there was a lot of work that he put in, more so in the early years, found that it worked. And so now he still puts in that work today because it's only going to better him for tomorrow as well as today. And like that's really important because I know Mike, and I know that we've had these conversations about how you have these sales calls and how you start off with hundreds of people and how it whittles all the way down to like the final three. It's like a competition, man. And there's nobody else left. It's like before, everybody's sitting there yapping and talking about all these things that they're able to do and that they're going to do. But at the end of the day, longevity starts to show up. And those that persevere and are disciplined enough to hang in there, because it's not, you said something else. You said it's not always about the perfection, but it's about the persistence. And so sometimes the person that's the worst at doing it is actually going to be the one that's the most successful because they just don't ever give up, And I like to feel like I'm like that type of guy. Like I ain't never given up. I'm not going to tell you I'm the best. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, Mike, tell me more about the process that you've gone through to perfect your sales tactics. Because for me, inside of my business, like my sales, like I'm just a nice guy. I will give it away. I'm giving away so much to so many clients, so much, all over the place, literally across the world, y'all. Across the world, I've done this. So tell me about the sales part and how you pull yourself out, because you and I are different people, but how you get to that part where sales, where you can be genuinely caring and compassionate about somebody else and yet still make the sale, and what it took for you to get there.
Oh man, brother, that's a deep question. And so it's interesting. I wrote a post on Facebook, and in the post, and I don't. Sometimes I'm just posting stuff. A lot of these just things are thoughts that are popping in my mind, but it rings true at times. And the thing is that people value. You got to understand what people value, and a lot of people in this world, right or wrong, good or right, whatever it is side you want to be on, they value money. This thing, like this thing, this money, and what they believe money brings you. Money is just going to bring you other things. Hopefully those things make you comfortable. Those things elicit happiness from you. Certain things that money brings. I mean, obviously we want to pay our bills. That's part of the comfort and the convenience of the entire thing. So what I found is that, because I'm just like you, brother. And the thing is that we come from a place where we will sit and just listen to people who are giving away valuable information, whether it's free, whether we pay for it, or whatever it is. We find value in the information. people don't necessarily find value in the information. They find value in the money part of it. How much money can this make me, or how much money can this save me, etc. So since people find value in money, we have to meet a lot of our prospects where they're at, and that is they value money. So if you give something away for free, and someone values money, then what they're going to do is they're not going to value this information because it was free. It was freely given. And so people wonder, like, well, why do people charge $500,000 and they just said this, or why do they charge $1,000 and they just say this, or 5, 10, 25,000, whatever it is? It's because most times when you put forth that amount of money, you're actually going to use that information. Otherwise, you're going to consider it a loss, right? People treat dogs from the pound different than they treat a dog that they paid $25,000 for. They're not just going to give away a $25,000 dog. When something happens, when the dog uses the bathroom in the house too many times, you're going to get down on your knees and you're going to clean it, right? But if the dog comes from the pound, you might say, listen, this dog is just too much for me because I didn't pay anything for it. I might not necessarily value it. And it's harsh when you say it like this, but it's like, so you have to exchange information. Now, there's a deeper part of it as well, because I was just like you, and I just went over that recently, just going over those thought processes of how do we come from and I make a distinction between the word nice and kind. Being a kind person, I have this information. I know it's worth a lot of money, but I want to exchange it with you. But then I feel bad because it's almost like I already have this information. Why can't I just give it to you? And I don't necessarily need a charge for it. Why can't I just give it to you? Well, remember, you're doing this person a disservice. You think of it like I'm doing this person a disservice, because if I give them this information for free, they're not going to necessarily value it. It goes in one ear and out the other. They may not even be necessarily paying attention to it. But if you put a price on it, a price where they're like, oh, this is this. Oh, now it becomes valuable information. You know what I mean? And once again, you got to treat each prospect contextually and with the individual. We're always going to do that. But we really have to pay attention to more so their behavior than what they say. Because people say anything. Their behavior is their religion. Their behavior is what they practice. That's what they show. And ultimately that's the value of it. That most people aren't going to go against things that they don't value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I want to say one thing that's semi-argumentative, but it's not meant to be argumentative. It's just it's something to consider. And I want to hear your take on this consideration right here. This consideration. Jesus gave everything for free. Now, granted, there's an argument in that, because as the scripture talks about, it said we're bought with a price. So there was a price that he paid, but the people, they didn't understand the price that was being paid. And so, like, when we give away something for free, there's a price that is being paid. Like, if I give away something for free, or you give away something for free, I'm sacrificing my time. I'm putting an investment in every single individual that I give something away free to. And that's kind of crazy. So like I said, it's not argumentative in the sense of arguments, but it's just, this is a mind-blowing perspective that I just thought about while you were speaking. What's your take on that, man? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you said you gave it away for free. So, but you value your time. So when you gave it away for free, you actually were paying for it with your time. I mean, these people are paying for it with their time, but they don't value their time. You value time. They don't value time. Or this person may not necessarily value time. So therefore, if they don't value time, because some of them value the money. So the information is worth more to you giving it away because it's your time. That's why it may not necessarily be information at that point. It may be advice. And so when you're given advice, you're vested in the advice, the information that you're given. That's the difference between giving away the advice and information. When you give away advice, you're vested in it. So you're hoping you're hoping or that these people will take whatever information it is and they use it for something laudable, for something that's going to be beneficial to them for the most part. That's why you gave it. That's why you gave it to them, but you gave it to them freely. That's why you spoke. Man, you brought up the Lord. The Lord gave. He paid the ultimate sacrifice, and He knew what it was worth, His life, in exchange for their souls. Did they? So what do they value?
Even in exchange for the possibility of their
Right.
souls. But I think that this, man, that's a deep conversation, right? So it's like when you think about something like that on that type of level, like think about this, man. Like if you're in business and you're giving away things, whatever it is, services or products or whatever it is that you have, then you're giving away your investment. You're giving it to everyone, whether it's sparingly or whether it's bountifully, you're giving it away with no understanding of whether it will return to you. I mean, it's one thing if you give away something in the name of the Lord. This is my faith. This is probably Mike's faith too. If I give it away in the name of the Lord, then I believe that the Lord will bless me. So even still, then there's a payday for me someday because I'm doing it in the name of the Lord. But if I'm just doing it in my own name, and I'm just giving away, then yeah, I'm doing something good. But my family is going to reap whatever I've sowed there. And what if it does not sprout? 10 years. What if it takes 10 years before it sprouts? My family goes without the increase for 10 years because I've sowed everywhere. Now, contextually, there's nothing wrong with that. Fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with that. Technically, if you are hurt for money, you're going to have to be able to move into a different mindset to be able to keep things moving forward. I believe, I suppose, and I think that's kind of like what I meant by it's an argument, but it's not an argument because this is just a thought that just came up to me. It's like, man, if everybody treated business like the Lord treated salvation, where will we be?
Well, you do have, and I hate to put the congruent, the alignment, aligning the Lord with the business people. You do have a lot of business people who do give freely, right? Because it does end up coming back. It ends up being a slow grind, I would say, but ultimately it all pays off. Like I'm not saying that a person should be charging for any and everything. Like you charge for whatever you feel it is. We also need to remove some of the charge and relation that we have with money versus whatever it is. There's definitely oftentimes negative relationships with money, and that's why some people don't charge and they have stuff that's worth to me is worth should be worth lots of money or whatever it is in my aspect of it. There's some people who are giving you information that's just recycled babble, but they're taking advantage of certain communities. It's happening all, so we got to be aware of that. But more, I just say, just figure it out and do the best you can. I was listening to a podcast recently, and a guy was talking about how much people are worth, and he says, if you're working for a company, you don't know your value is more than you think you're worth, because most companies, this is just on average, when they hire you to do something, they're expecting a 300% return. That's what you're worth to them. So whatever they pay you, they're expecting to get at least 3 times back. And if it's a sales position, they're actually expecting 6 times back. That's why they give out commissions and bonuses, etc. Like that 600 times. So that's 600% return and a 300% return for a regular employee that's non-sales. So it's like we got to understand the value of it. And I want to get back to the point of actually putting in the work and the consistency of it, where we often say that in order to develop a behavior, etc. Like I was always told that it was 62 days. It was around 62 days. But then they just found out regarding neuroscience that it's actually 62 times. It takes 62 times to to develop a different behavior or to change your neural pathways in your brain, which will develop your behavior. So what does that mean for a lot of people? Well, here's what it means is that if you can actually get all those reps in ahead of time. So you can do something in 30 days, you can do it twice, 31 days. Let's say 31 days, you can do it twice in 31 days. So twice a day for 31 days, and that'll speed up the process. But what happens is a lot of people, if it takes 62 times to change your behavior, you need to be disciplined and give out willpower for 62 days, whatever it is that you want. Let's call it discipline. Be persistent for 62 days. What happens is, and then don't see any change within those 62 times or 62 days. A lot of people end up stopping. This is where we get this. We start off with 100 people and the dwindles down to 4 people, or whatever it is. It's because people get to day 10 and they say, oh, this ain't working, and they turn and they walk away from it. People get to day 27, they say, I ain't seen no change. It ain't worth it. People get to day 50 and say, man, ain't nothing happening. People get to day 60 and say, oh, I done did it for 2 months, 60 days, 8 weeks. I'm out of here. And the number is, according to science, 62. So are you going to do something 62 times to develop a behavior that's going to take you to the next level? That's going to give you that. We spoke about the progress versus perfection. We spoke about what's going to give you that, what Chris Voss says, that 1 millimeter shift that could essentially change your life. Can you do it 62? Can you do? I heard that, and that just opened up a whole different thought process in my mind. So 62 times to change my life for the next, God willing, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it is.
Man, you're too young, man. Come on. Stay 50, 60, 70, 80. Come on, man. Stop playing.
I'll take whatever he got for me. But are we willing to change? Are we willing to put in that work for 62 times? And then I really want to speak on the progress thing, is because what I've also found in the last week is a lot of people paying attention to other people. And that's not where the progress comes in. The progress comes in, just like you mentioned, brother, when you went back and looked at your shows and said, how can I get better at my shows? The progress comes for me when I go back and I look at what Mike got going on. There's no competition. You make it to, they say it's lonely at the top, and there's the abundance at the top. There's 95% of people that's not doing nothing. There's 4% of the people that's attempting to do a lot, and they're sharing a pile of money. And there's that 1% that's sharing the majority of everything. But that has to do with you going back and looking at yourself 62 times for each behavior or whatever it is, and making those 1 millimeter shifts in business. What I'm trying to do for you all is give you some clarity on what it's going to take for you to get to the next level. The brother's already doing it. I'm in here I'm doing it. But that's what it takes. How can you look at yourself for each behavior, do it 62 times, and go on? And then when we start talking about money and charging your worth, they're going to be coming in droves. The only reason why you're charging money is this amount of money is because you want more, you want to get yourself more time back. I mean, we can go on and on. I know the brother has a hard spot.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, listen. Here's something that I was thinking about what you were saying when you said it's lonely at the top. That's a great saying. It's been said many, many times. I'm gonna tell you what, man. As you were speaking, it dawned on me. It's like, here's the issue. Everybody is at the top. Because if it's a challenge, if you're not in competition with anybody else, then you're always at the top of yourself. If you put yourself at the bottom, you put yourself there. If you put yourself at the top, you put yourself there. The question is, did you put in all of the work? Did you leave it all on the field? Did you leave it all on the court? Because if you didn't, then maybe you aren't at the top of yourself. Maybe you need to go back and reevaluate who you are. And that's where it comes back to reevaluating your own work. Reevaluate your work ethic, reevaluate your why, reevaluate, what stimulates your movement, reevaluate your goals, reevaluate exactly what you want and how bad you want it and what you're willing to do to get there, and see if you are playing the game that will get you there. Because it's okay to fail. It's absolutely okay to fail. But if you ever want to get somewhere, you can't give up. You have to stay persistent. You have to you have to be disciplined. You have to do that. These are just things that you have to do. And it's not always fun. Like when you start talking about them 62 days, I started thinking about that. I was like, man, 62 days, that can be a struggle. You may have to start your 62 days up every 10 days. Because on the 11th day you fall off. You might have to start your 62 again. I don't know if it works like that. Or if you just skip a day.
It's 62 times.
Excuse me, 62
Yeah,
times.
62 times. So even when you fail on that 11th day, say the 11th time, this is the crazy part about it. The 11th time, the next time you do it, that's still 12.
Okay.
Right? So you're still progressing. So that's why you'll see some people who do it for they'll do it for 40 days, let's say 40 days or 40 times. They'll stop on that 40th time and they'll say, you know what, I'm kind of burnt out. I'm going to take a break. You can go take a break. You still got 22 more times to do it. So you can go take your breather if that's what it is you need to do. But what I would advise is just use that momentum knowing this. See, because when you don't know it, the clarity is not there. Now that we know, according to the science, that your neural pathways change after the 60-second time, then you know that, okay, I'm going to take this break because I'm sick and tired of it for a couple of days. But you take your days, your weekend, or take your rest or whatever it is, because the thing is, when you're learning something for the first time, you're using more energy, more mental energy to do it. It's just like getting in the gym. The first time you lift 135 or whatever it is, you do it 7 times. Next time you go back in there, you try to get it an 8th time. Then you try to get it a 9th time. But then when you go back to doing this 7 times seems easy because the first time you're using these muscles, and this is for your brain, it takes more mental energy. So, pay attention to that, but get into a momentum. Don't give up on it. Don't overwhelm yourself on it. Sometimes you need to go take a nap, whatever it is, and just get right back to it and get to your 60-second time.
All right, I know I got a hard stop, and it's in like 1 minute,
Man.
but I got this question. I want you to answer this question. Okay, so like momentum is huge. This is such a big thing. Like what Mike just said, that was absolutely a mic drop. If you all don't understand about momentum, you need to look the word up and learn it. So now, explain momentum, and because like what I'm looking for to hear from you is like, can momentum be slow?
See, when we start talking about slow and fast, then we're almost in comparison. So what are we comparing it to? And comparison is the killer of dreams. When you start off, and this is just this, when we start talking about physics, we start talking about an object that's in motion tends to stay in motion. Okay, it takes more energy to start something up, but once it gets into motion, it's easier. It's that what was that carousel thing where we used to back in the days they used to be in the playground. I'm dating myself because I haven't seen one of those in a long time. But
Perfect.
You get on it, and when we first start turning it around, we'll stand in the middle, people are standing in the middle, and someone's pushing it. They get on there, and it's like that hard push. Like, man, I got to get this thing going. But once you start getting it going, and all of a sudden you started off with your back and your legs, and you're moving it, and it's a little bit hard to get going. But once it starts to get going, you start just tapping it with your hand like this, and it's moving around. As long as it's oiled, it's moving around just with your hand going because it stays in motion. And you can go faster, you can go slower. The thing here's the important part is that you're going. So it's about how do we get this thing going? And you can go at that point in time, you can go as fast as you want. Then you can start talking about scaling. Because now you can hit it one time, turn around, talk to somebody, turn back around, it's still going, and you hit it again. But you've got it in motion, so your momentum is going. I hope that answers your question, brother.
That was perfect because like this is the thing. Sometimes and it's like to break the mindset of thinking that when momentum hits, it has to be like super fast. And then even when you use carousel, I'm like that's one of the greatest examples right there. Because that thing can even slow down. Or you use the word scale. You can scale it, and it's going so fast that you can turn around and talk to somebody else and keep it moving. So that means you can get your business moving at such a high level that you can actually focus on something else. But then you can also kind of scale down too and let a
Yeah.
couple of people off of the carousel, get a couple more people on, but because it's still moving and maybe going a little bit slower, it's not but 1, 2, 3 more pushes and it's back up to speed. It's not the same thing as that hard start. So momentum, that's huge, man. And just to understand, like, because I mean that helped me out a little bit in the way I thought about it. But I just hope that really broke the mold on people's thought processes. That when things slow down, it doesn't mean it's over. It don't mean it's over. Keep the momentum. Go back. Take that break, like Mike said. Take that break for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. If that's what you need, then go right back at it. Go right back at it, and go back at it like it's still rotating, like the
Yeah.
business is still building. Don't go back at it like,
Yeah.
oh man. Go back at it like I'm right here. I'm still in queue. I'm just going to give it a push and give it another one because you got to get back on at the speed you were at. You don't want to overlap it. You don't want to underlap it. You want to catch it right where it's at, and you want to ride that thing out until you can pick up the speed to the place that you need to be at. Because remember, like this is all the stuff that you have. Man, you just helped me to open it up. Like when you think about this thing, if it's going too fast and you can't handle it, you need help. You got to
You know
scale.
what?
You need help. I've gotten
But
those
you know
things.
what?
They're so fast, man. My legs, they started to drag, man.
I was on a call with the sales coach. So this guy, and he's almost like a one-man team. I'm sure he's starting to scale, but he said when he first started, he thought it was interesting for him. He's a solopreneur. This guy says he makes $30,000 to $40,000 a month based on his business, and he started off on LinkedIn, and it was just about doing one post a month and another post a month. And he says when he did that, he had a bunch of people coming into email, you know how it is, emails, phone calls, whatever, about the next new shiny object. And what he realized was that at this point in time, you get to decide, and that this goes back to the value conversation, but you get to decide what you want to do. Here's a guy, I'm sure he has a couple of tools now, but you don't need all this stuff. A lot of us don't necessarily need to scale. A lot of us need to sit in where it is that we're at, be good for it. Everybody's not going to be the next, whatever. Get to where you want to get to. It doesn't necessarily need to scale, but if you want to scale, if you have the need to scale, if that's within your value system to scale, if you have the contextual, if it works for you to scale, then go ahead and scale. Other than that, but let me get you out of here, man. Let me respect your time, guys. We appreciate you.
Gold.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We will, man. We're here every Friday, man. We will see you next week.